Have you ever noticed that the smartest people you know sometimes struggle the most with their own thoughts? I started researching this question after observing a pattern. Some of the most intelligent people I met weren't the most relaxed or carefree. Instead, they often seemed trapped inside their own minds, analyzing everything. So, I did what I always do when something like this catches my attention. I started reading psychology studies. I watched lectures. I compared research papers and behavioral studies. And what I discovered was fascinating. Psychology actually has several explanations for why intelligent people tend to overthink more than others. Let me explain. First, intelligent people usually have stronger analytical abilities. When I researched cognitive psychology, I noticed that intelligence is closely related to something called analytical processing. This means the brain naturally breaks down situations into smaller details. For example, when an average person experiences a problem, they might think about one or two possible outcomes. But someone with a highly analytical mind doesn't stop there. They imagine 5 outcomes, then 10 outcomes. Then they start analyzing the risks, the consequences, and the hidden possibilities. Their brain simply refuses to stop exploring scenarios. I noticed this pattern while reading studies about decision-making. Researchers found that people with higher intelligence often evaluate more variables before making a decision. In simple terms, their brain keeps asking, what if this happens? What if that goes wrong? What if there's a better option? This ability is powerful, but it can also create mental overload. The second reason involves awareness. When I studied research about self-awareness and intelligence, I found that smarter individuals often have a higher level of introspection. That means they think about their own thoughts more frequently. I started paying attention to this in everyday situations. Some people react to events and quickly move on, but highly intelligent individuals often replay situations in their minds. They analyze what happened, they question their own behavior, they imagine alternative actions. Psychologists call this rumination. Rumination isn't always negative. In fact, it helps people learn from mistakes and improve future decisions. But when the mind repeats the same thought loops over and over again, it becomes overthinking. The third reason surprised me the most during my research. Intelligent people tend to recognize complexity. When I read studies in behavioral psychology, researchers repeatedly pointed out something interesting. Smarter individuals often see more uncertainty in the world. For example, when facing a problem, some people quickly believe they have the correct answer, but analytical minds recognize how many unknown variables exist. They understand that situations are rarely simple, so instead of jumping to conclusions, they keep evaluating possibilities. This is sometimes connected to something known as the Dunning-Kruger effect. People with less knowledge may feel very confident because they see fewer complications, but people with more knowledge often realize how much they don't know. This awareness can make decision-making feel more difficult. The fourth reason is mental simulation. While researching neuroscience studies, I learned that intelligent individuals often simulate future scenarios more actively. Their brain runs mental experiments. They imagine conversations before they happen. They predict possible outcomes. They mentally prepare for risks. This ability can be incredibly useful in planning, strategy, and problem solving, but it also means their brain rarely rests. Even small decisions can turn into long internal debates. Now, here's something important I realized during this research. Overthinking is not necessarily a weakness. In fact, many of the world's greatest scientists, inventors, and strategists were known for deep thinking. The difference is learning how to control the thinking process instead of letting it control you. Psychologists often suggest techniques like structured decision-making, mindfulness, and setting time limits for analyzing problems. These methods help the brain switch between deep thinking and mental recovery. because the real advantage of intelligence is not just thinking more, it's knowing when to stop thinking. So if you sometimes feel like your mind never stops analyzing everything, it might not mean something is wrong. It might simply mean your brain is doing exactly what it was designed to do. The key is learning how to guide that intelligence instead of getting lost inside it. And once you understand that, overthinking can transform from a burden into a powerful tool.